from Rixie. This is Debuff, and I'm your host, Steve Skeels. Today I'll be talking about the Inside Xbox event, the preliminary lineup for Summer Game Fest 2020, and Amazon's new game, Crucible. First up, the Inside Xbox event that just happened on May 7th. This was advertised as the first look at Xbox Series X gameplay. They showed off 13 games through trailers. Some had gameplay, but it was a lot of cinematics. They didn't really show off anything exclusive to the Xbox Series X in terms of features or anything that would be added. And I was hoping that they would go at least a little bit into a few games or some of the features that we are hoping to see will make these a bit different than something on the current gen platform. However, this was essentially the same style of trailer presentation that Microsoft has been using at E3. Many people were commenting on the YouTube video, sharing a similar sentiment where they expected to see a bit more. But in retrospect, the video did do what it claimed, and it showed footage of games coming to the Series X. And as you would expect, the Xbox webpage for each of these games is touting that they will, quote, showcase unparalleled load times, visuals, responsiveness, and frame rates up to 120 FPS, end quote. So while many of these games are going to be cross-generation, it seems like they're still going to at least take advantage of the Series X hardware. In terms of the game announcements, there was a lot of variety. Racing, shooters, RPGs, horror, first-person action, there was something here for everyone. There were big franchises like Assassin's Creed, Madden, and Yakuza, but there were a few games shown that I want to highlight. First is Second Extinction from Systemic Reaction. This is a co-op shooter where you face off against dinosaurs. It already sounds great. The trailer alludes to something happening to the Earth, and now you must fight back against these dinosaurs to reclaim the planet. The limited amount of combat shown somewhat reminds me of a zombie game where you have to mow down a lot of smaller enemies, but you may need to strategize on how to deal with the larger ones. Not a whole lot else to say here as the trailer was only a minute, but I find the premise really intriguing, and I hope there's a good story to go along with this game. The second game I want to mention is The Medium from Bloober Team. This was one of those games that I didn't really know what was going on from the trailer, but it looked like a very interesting horror game. If the player takes the place of a medium, then we should expect interaction with spirits haunting the character and things of that nature. I could also imagine there will be some kind of mechanic that gives the medium an edge to deal with it as opposed to playing as a normal human. Something like that could make for a really cool experience. The atmosphere to this game also looks like it will be fairly creepy, with haunting imagery flashing through the trailer, really painting a picture of what you can expect. And the composer from the Silent Hill games has been brought onto the team, so I think we can also expect a great soundtrack to go along with that. The last game that immediately got my attention was Scarlet Nexus, a game from Bandai Namco. This one looks awesome to me. It looks something like Astral Chain and God Eater, with big monsters to fight in what I'm assuming is a post-apocalyptic world, but the big feature here is the player character's power, psychokinesis. If it were to be pulled off well, it looks like this would be really fun to have in an action RPG. Being able to move objects to explore the environment or use as a weapon is always a fun time. Overall, there weren't a ton of games shown off, but Microsoft did announce that there are currently 140 studios working on titles for the Series X. And of course, Xbox is huge, so you'd expect that there will be many developers that want to bring their games to the new consoles. But I think it's great to hear that this early in the game, they've already got so many on board. Hopefully this means we'll see a lot of games in the Series X's first year. So in the previous episode, we just mentioned that there will be some new events happening this summer to try to fill the void left by E3. Summer Game Fest 2020 was promising to be a big one, and we just got a look at the first lineup for the initial schedule. There isn't a lot here yet, but there will be more to come, and I think that what's here is a good start. So far, we've got May, which will consist of the Inside Xbox event that we just talked about, followed by what they're calling Sunrise Number 1, which comes out May 12th, and it has the description of join Jeff Keighley for a surprise game reveal. June starts up with the Steam Summer Game Fest from the 9th to the 14th, and then there will be an EA Play and a Cyberpunk 2077 event, both on June 11th. Following that, July and August both only have one event listed right now. July 11th has a digital event for TennoCon, the yearly convention for Warframe, and August 24th is what they mentioned previously as the final event, Gamescom opening night live. So overall, there's not much here yet, 1 to 2 events a month, most of which are other events put under the Summer Game Fest umbrella, but I still like that. They're making it feel like more of an event instead of sporadic events over the next few months, and it'll be all under one place you can look to see what's coming. For instance, the game reveal that they called Sunrise Number 1, if not for Summer Game Fest, it would just be another announcement that you hear about when you check the news that day. And like I said, there will be more to come. The FAQ has a neat line in response to certain developers not being listed yet, and they say that from now until August, we should stay tuned because there will be more news from big names and indie studios alike. With many publishers previously promised to be involved, I can expect that they're just going to add in these events and game reveals as the publishers decide that they want to move forward with a certain date. Whether or not these will be revealed independently at some of the Sunrise events, or something like an Inside Xbox or Gamescom, might still be up in the air. We'll have to wait and see, but you can go over to summergamefest.com to see the events and add them to your calendar. The last topic for today is Crucible, a game developed by Amazon's Relentless Studio. Amazon opened up a game studio in 2012, which really started out by putting out mobile games on their Amazon App Store. In 2014, they announced their intentions to develop PC games, and then announced 3 games at TwitchCon in 2016. One of those was Crucible. Crucible is a new hero shooter coming to PC on May 20th, so they announced this with about 2 weeks until release. This will only be their second non-mobile game to see a release. At first glance, it kind of looks like another Overwatch, but it does look like it's got its own flavor to it. Right now, they've announced 10 different characters to choose from, and the ones described in the press release sound like they fill the standard roles of tank, DPS, and support. They've got 3 game modes listed, which look to be a duos deathmatch, a PvE race against another team, and lastly, a territory control King of the Hill style game mode. Overall, there's nothing too unique yet, but I do think the PvE mode sounds pretty interesting. There will also be a mechanic in the game that has the players leveling up throughout matches via a resource called Essence, which can be found in the maps by what they've said is killing animals, finding machines that harvest it, and I'm imagining there will be a few more methods not listed yet. I like mechanics like this, though they have to be implemented well to make sure that it isn't just demolishing for the team ahead to get ahead in levels and then immediately outskill the other players. But if done right, it can give an edge to the losing team if they may come across some extra essence and maybe get a level up and add something to their skills that will give them a leg up. There is one feature that we still don't know about, and that's the Twitch integration that was mentioned upon the game's original announcement. It makes sense that Amazon wants to implement some kind of Twitch integration since they own the company, but it was originally described as one player overseeing the game and affecting it to some degree, so we don't really know exactly what this will entail. I do think this will be interesting for a multiplayer game. There are already some games doing similar streamer interaction, but mostly for single-player experiences, so they'll have to implement this really well for it to work for a competitive game. I do really want to see this game do well. It's one of the first big games from Amazon coming out, and it's going to be free to play, so I imagine it will at least start strong. Time will only tell if it has staying power, but I look forward to hearing more about this game when it releases. Debuff is hosted by me, Steve Skeels, edited and mixed by Mason Carlton. Follow us on Instagram at DebuffPod. That's DebuffPod. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.